Dear students, now I am going to start neurophysiology. Nervous system. You have seen already, you have studied about nervous system in your last semester. It is a major regulatory and communicating system in the body. It is the center of all mental activity, thought, learning, memory, all this. Nervous system is composed of a complex network of nerves and nerve cells, they are called neurons, that carry signals or messages to and from the brain and the spinal cord to different parts of the body. This is you will find brain, and this is spinal cord. So this cerebral cortex, this contains about 12 to 15 billion neurons. This cerebellum, it is 70 billion neurons. So this is spinal cord, 1 billion neurons. So neurons are the structural and functional components of the nervous system. So nervous system, there are two types. There is a central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. So in this nervous system, these neurons, they are interconnected to one another and communicate with one another, and they are responsible for the conduction of impulses or messages to and from the brain to the spinal cord and other parts of the body. What are the main functions of the nervous system? So nervous system control the body's internal environment. It is a regulatory system. It is all our activities. It may be all physiological activities inside the body, or else sensory activities or locomotion, everything it is controlled by the nervous system. So it also maintains the homeostasis. So homeostasis means the constant rate, for example the constant body temperature, and you can see the oxygen uptake, then you will find rhythmicity of the heart, and you will find the normal functioning of the various parts of the body. It is because of this nervous system, you can see. Then the reflex action, you will find stretch reflex. If you without your knowledge, quickly it takes place, reflex action. If you touch a hot object, immediately you remove your hand. This is how reflex action works. Then you know the memory and learning. It is very important as a student, you people, you should know how to improve your memory, how to improve your long-term memory, and how to improve your learning process and all this. So because it is the function of the nervous system. Then the voluntary control of movements, all your movements. It may be your locomotion, movements of your hand, eyes, then movements of the air passages, food in the digestive system, all these are controlled by the nervous system. So nervous system, there are two types of regulatory system operating in the body. One is the nervous system, and another you have studied already, endocrine system. So they are together called neuroendocrine regulation. Endocrine system interacts and cooperates with the nervous system to regulate the physiology and homeostasis in the multicellular animal. The neuroendocrine system is the mechanism by which the hypothalamus maintains homeostasis, regulating reproduction, metabolism, eating and drinking behavior, energy utilization, osmolarity, and blood pressure, etc. So all these are together, they are regulated by the nervous system and endocrine system. The secretory activity of the endocrine glands, all these are controlled by the nervous system. So what are the differences between the regulation of nervous system and that of endocrine system? So nervous system regulate, it is through the electrical nerve impulses and chemical signals, that is the neurotransmitters. This is the nature of the regulation. Here chemical messengers through hormone production, it released into the circulatory system, it is regulating. So nerve impulses are conducted very fast and have instant effect. You will find the reflex action within a second. It will take place, fraction of a second it will take place. So that is the very fast the regulation. Whereas hormones carried by the blood to the target cells, it is not as fast as you will find the nerve impulse conduction. So here response is short lived, it is about a millisecond. Here hormones involved in a coordination and integration of long lasting action. So nervous action is localized, it is a particular target. It is endocrine action is widespread, involving different organs. So in the nervous system, target cells are the other neuron or muscles or gland cells. Here any cells in the body expressing the receptor on their surface of the cell for a particular hormone, that is going to be affected. So this is the difference between the nervous system and endocrine regulation. So coming to the neurons, nervous system is composed of brain, spinal cord, nerves and ganglia. Nerve cells or the neurons, they are the structural and functional units of nervous system. What you see, you have studied. They are highly specialized cells, amitotic, they cannot undergo mitosis or cell division because they are specialized, lost the property of mitosis. Each neuron has three basic parts, that is the soma or the cell body, this is the soma, and the long process, this is called the axon, and the process surrounding the soma, they are called dendrites. They are cytoplasmic extension that project from the cell body. Dendrites are afferent process. They are afferent means the message they carry towards the cyton, so towards the cell body. So the message in this direction. So then the axon is called efferent process. They carry away from the cell body, the message or the impulses away from the cell body. So that's why they are called efferent process. So neurons, different types of neurons are there. So just to your knowledge, Drosophila fruit fly contains about 1 lakh neurons, whereas in the case of mouse, it 75 million neurons. In the human brains, it is about 100 billion, remember, neurons. They are working in your brain, to understand what I am saying now. So human behavior depends on communication between these neurons. So this is how they are communicated, I have shown here. So the neurons are highly specialized with respect to their size, shape, related to their functional role. So classification based on the nature of the direction in which they carry impulses, they are called sensory neurons. So sensory neurons, they carry nerve impulses from the tissues or organs to the spinal cord or the brain. They are sensory sensation. So touch sensation, pain sensation, or else you can see the visual stimuli or auditory stimuli. These are all carried to the brain or the spinal cord through these sensory neurons. So the sensory neurons, they carry the direction of the conduction, nerve impulse conduction from the dendrites to the central nervous system, either to the brain or to the spinal cord. Then the motor neuron, they carry nerve impulse from the brain to the muscles or the glands. So these are the, so they carry, so this is, if you think this is the central nervous system, they carry message from the central nervous system to the muscle or the gland, to the muscle to contract or to gland to release hormones. So that is what you can see, the motor neurons. Then interneurons, those are present in the central nervous system. They connect the sensory neuron with that of the motor neuron. They are called interneuron. You will be able to see here the photograph. You will find the sensory neuron, interneuron and the motor neuron. Next, the neurons are classified based on the cytoplasmic extension or the process or the how many process they have. So unipolar neuron has only one process which functions both as axon and dendrite. Common type of these are the, you will find here, this is the one unipolar neuron. So this is the cyton and there is only one process. This process is functions one side to receive the message and it communicate to the cell, then away from the cell. So this is what you can see, unipolar neuron having only one process, and you will find the common type of sensory neurons, sensation of pain, touch, temperature, taste, taste receptors in the tongue, and then the proprioception, the body position, so with respect to the gravity. So then the visceral organs, so once you take the food, then it will immediately communicate it to the brain to release gastric juice. So these are all, so this is what you can see, the unipolar neurons. Then the bipolar neurons, as it name, there are two processes, one function as dendrite, the other function as axon. Here you will find this is the axon, dendrite bring a message or the impulses to the cyton, then the axon carry away from that. So these bipolar neurons are common in the retina. You will find in the rods and the cone cells in the retina of the eye, in the nasal cavity, your olfactory sensation, inner ear, the auditory sensation. So all these sensory and they are and also for equilibrium, hearing, all this you can see. Then majority neurons are multipolar neurons. These multipolar neurons you will find they have many processes, many dendrites, and then the elongated process is called the axon. So these are the common neurons of the brain's spinal cord. Then you can see a multipolar neuron, a Purkinje cell you will find in the cerebellum, and it has got, can you see the dendritic process, it is more than 1 lakh dendritic process. So this is actual photographs, you will find multipolar neuron, how it looks. These are all drawings. So next, the neurons are also depending on the myelin sheath on the axon, you will find they are called myelinated neuron and non-myelinated neuron. Myelinated neuron axon membrane, they are ensheathed. You will find there are two types here, one and you can see here. So there is a myelin sheath in the axon, here the naked. So myelinated sheath is nothing but it is a you can see it is a fatty myelin sheath. It is produced by the Schwann cells membranes. So these membranes, myelinated neurons, they are present in the peripheral nervous system and central nervous system. You will find these are axon. They have, you can see the Schwann cells, they produce membranous covering, a fatty covering you can see. So this is called a myelin sheath. So those type of neurons are myelinated neurons. So there are so many, so they are actually forming the white matter of the central nervous system. Non-myelinated neurons, they form the grey matter of the central nervous system. They lack this myelin sheath. So what is the difference you will find in this in the animation? So this is non-myelinated neuron, how the impulse, it is carried very slowly. Here the impulse is more than, you can say 100 to 1000 times faster communication. What you see, it is just how exactly the electric wire insulated and non-insulated. So that is the difference in the communication or else conduction of the nerve impulse. So this the myelinated and non-myelinated neuron. So let us study this is what you can see, this is the white matter and this is the grey matter, and this is in the spinal cord. If you take the section, so the grey color grey matter and white color white matter. White matter, they are myelinated neurons, the grey matter non-myelinated neuron. How to improve the myelinated neurons? So the importance of the myelinated neurons, so improved you can see the conduction, so quick to react and all. So it is important the myelin sheath, it is made out of sphingomyelin or sphingolipids. So you can add in your diet the omega fatty acids, and the fish, then nuts, the almond, then cashew nuts, and all this olive oil, all these rich in this lipids, and even the butter. So that improves the myelination, and that is in the younger age that myelination can be improved by having all these fats in your diet. So then coming to the detailed structure of multipolar neuron, it has got a cyton and axon, you know that. So the plasma membrane of the neuron is called neurolemma, and the cytoplasm is called neuroplasm. And neuroplasm, you will find it is has a typical cell. You will find nucleus, and then endoplasmic reticulum, and then endoplasmic reticulum with the ribosomes. They form a special type of bodies called Nissl granules, you will find. They are there are you can see the neurofibrillar network, then all these mitochondria, all these typical cell components or cell organelles you will able to see. So then the axon is connected to the other neuron, either it is connected to the dendrite of the other neuron or else to the cyton of the other neuron. So the so many branches you will find, it is branched, so they may be connected to the different neurons. So this is how the connections, so your learning process improves these connections, so that this is how you can develop long term memory and the knowledge base. You can strengthen your knowledge base by improving these connections. So that is important. You have to be in a continuous learning process. So then the cyton surrounded by the dendrites, you will find these are the dendrites, and these dendrites are their highly branched cytoplasmic process present in the cyton. They receive the impulse and conduct the impulse to the cyton. Then the axon, this is axon. So this is also elongated cytoplasmic process. So the cytoplasm inside the axon called axoplasm. The plasma membrane of this axon is called axolemma. So then there is a portion called axon hillock. This axon hillock is the one. So this is the where you can see this will decide. So this neuron receiving so many stimulatory inhibitory impulses. The green one they are stimulatory, and red one inhibitory. So it decide what type of which message has to be. So this is what you can see, the summation of the impulses that takes place in the axon hillock. This is the portion you will find. Then the telodendria, this is the axon. So this axon is that myelinated or non-myelinated. There is a fatty sheath you will find around this. So this is there is it contains sphingolipids formed by the Schwann cells. All this I explained you. So the axon end of the either this axon end, it is either connected to a other neuron like this here. This axon end is connected to the other neuron, or else to the muscles. Here this is connected to the muscle. So this is a motor neuron, it is connected to the muscle, or else to the gland. So this axon terminates into the branched telodendria, tip of the telodendria. This tip is called synaptic knob, which connect with the muscle or another neuron or gland. So this you can see this is a myelinated neuron. It is covered by myelin sheath. This myelin sheath is not continuous. It is interrupted by the node. This node of, it is called nodes of Ranvier. So what are the general properties of the neurons? Neurons are the specialized, they have the property of irritability or excitability. They receive the, they respond to the stimulus, and you can see this is called excitability, response to a stimulus. This excitation wave is not going to remain, it communicated or conducted all along the membrane and also to the axon to the to the next neuron. So this is called the conduction. So the stimulus that evokes the nerve impulses are visual, auditory, olfactory, tactile, thermal, chemical, electrical and mechanical in nature. This is how we going to pursue the environment. For example, you can see if the temperature increases in the surrounding, immediately our thermoreceptors on the skin, they sense and they send the impulses to the brain, and you can see the thermoregulation occurs. So similarly, this is when we are road crossing, some vehicle is making horn, immediately the auditory impulse, so it communicates, so it is direct us how to which is the safe path. So this, all this you can see how exactly these stimulus will be carried to the brain, and it is or else to the spinal cord, and response is elicited. So the membranes of cyton, axon, dendrite of the nerve cells, they exhibit the properties of excitability, responding to a stimulus. So the response to a stimulus, then that response is not going to be remain in the cell, it will be communicated to the all along the cell to the next neuron or to the muscles through the axon and axon end. So this is what you can see. So the message or the impulses, so the electrical impulses, it is communicated to this, then it is communicated all along the axon to the next neuron. So this is how about the functioning of the neurons. So this is how impulses originate generated in the neurons, and how it is mechanism we will study in the next